Here at Diesel Freak, located in Gaylord, Michigan, just an hour south of Mackinac Bridge, we offer parts, turbos, manifolds, injectors, fleet service, down to your owner-operator. We have customers with race applications. We have a dyno for diagnostics. What we like to do along with our own apparel is make apparel for others as well. Hats, t-shirts, decals, vehicle graphics, from mild to wild for your truck here at Diesel Freak.
How about that oversize that came out of the 75 Chrome shop there? You got that radio on? Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about the truck that you're running there?
My name is Cabrera, Hialeah Gardens, Florida, and it's a 2017 389.
Tell us a bit more about yourself. How long you been trucking for?
Going on 6 years now. It'll be 6 years this year that I'm trucking and doing oversize, and I'd say about 1.5, almost 2.
With 6 years in so far, how did you get into trucking?
I was going to school to become a paramedic and a paramedic firefighter, and I needed my CDL, and my last couple of weeks before the test, my wife came and told me that she was pregnant, so I decided to leave everything alone and put it on the back burner and go buy me a truck and trailer and start doing my own thing.
Well, that's great. So how's things been working out for you so far?
So far, it's been real good. I've been blessed, and with hard work and dedication, this is where we at now. Looking to get, grow bigger and get another trailer and, start hauling bigger stuff.
So speaking of trailers, tell me about the trailer that you're running and how it works for you with the stuff that you're hauling.
It's a Fontaine 40-ton stretch, and it's a pretty good trailer. It's very versatile. You can open it up, the well, all the way to 50 feet, you know, and I could get a lot of stretch loads, and you know, it's capable of hauling 40 tons, and it's a pretty good versatile trailer, you know. But I'm looking to get something, you know, a bit bigger.
10-4. What do you think you'll get your hands on?
I think I'll get me another Fontaine. It'll be a 55, you know, something, you know, get more, you know, bigger excavators, bigger loaders, and stuff like that.
When it comes to trucking and the amount of years that you've been out here, what's something that you're proud of that you've been able to accomplish so far?
I went from a flatbed, from an old little beat up Freightliner Columbia that, you know, it never left me stranded. It worked hard, and I say, you know, I would jump into this truck, you know, and I came over and bought me a lowboy. So things like that, and give my family a better life, you know.
I'm glad that that's worked out for you that way so far.
4.
You're getting a good look at you. You've got some really great touches there so far. So what are some of the custom parts that you got on the truck?
I got some really good, cool stuff done down there in Miami. The guys Jib 305 and Dominguez Ironwork, they've been, you know, putting their touches on this truck. Visor, the panels with the lights in the bottom, bumper, all this stuff was, you know, put together by them. The lights, everything you see, it's been done down there in Miami. The stacks was done, you know, up with my boy in Houston. One day we decided, you know, at 7, 8 o'clock at night to put it together, take away the stock mufflers and stock and DPF filter and put it together. So it's coming out real good. Work in progress.
Yeah, for sure. That's the key. You know, like you said, work in progress. There's always something to do with these trucks to make them look good, sound good, whatnot. And speaking of engine, or actually speaking of sounding good, tell me about the motor and the rest of the drivetrain that you got there.
It's a Cummins X15. I got a, you know, a 625 semi-stock, you know, and I got 336 rears. I know that's not the preferred, you know, divs for this type of application, but that's what the truck came with, and I'm planning to switch it out to like 370s later on. I got a 13-speed, you know, do its job, you know, what it's doing. So I'm gonna leave it alone for now.
That's what it's all about. Get the job done, and you know, continue to, you know, modify things as you go, but you got to keep making that money.
Because nothing is cheap, you know.
In your opinion, what type of person does it take to be able to do this kind of job? You know, in your case, haul heavy equipment. What kind of person you think can take care of the job?
This is not for anybody. You know, anybody cannot just come out here and spend, you know, $100,000 on a trailer, buy a truck, and, you know, and put it to work. It takes time. You know, there's no blueprint. There's no magic pill or overnight success, how they're making it look nowadays. You know, it takes time. It takes a hardworking person, dedicated, and sacrifice to do this. Because you leaving your family behind for a week or so, it takes dedication. It takes a dedicated person with, you know, that knows what entails to, you know, pull these type of equipment around. Because right now I'm at 117 gross. You know, if the traffic stops ahead, I cannot panic. So you got to have your wits right, and you got to know what you're doing.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. It does take a concentrated person, to be able to, process a couple different things at the same time. look ahead, and all those other things. So, I'll throw another different question at you. When it comes to trucking and decisions and things, have you had any regrets so far? Meaning, you wish that you would have done something different, or if you had the opportunity to do something different, what would you have done?
I wouldn't change the process. I wouldn't change nothing. I don't regret nothing about what I'm doing right now and the steps that I took to get to where I'm at. I don't have nothing. So I don't think I could go back and say to myself, wow, if I could have done this different, that different. I fell in love with the process, and the process is what you got to fall in love with. And everything, if you put God first and trust your hustle, everything will fall into place. It might take time. It may not be that year, that second year, fourth year, but sooner or later, if I wouldn't regret nothing. Everything that I've done is taking me to where I'm at now, and what I'm doing now is going to take me to where I want to be next. So I can't say that I regret nothing or wish I would have known something different,
That's awesome. I'm glad that it's working that way for you. So speaking of it getting taken, different places, where are some of the places that you run with the truck?
I mainly stay in the southeast, but if it pays money, I'll go to California or whatnot, but I stay mainly in the southeast. I make my bread and butter over here. I got some great customers down here in the southeast that they keep me busy, so I stay here mainly in the southeast.
You mentioned that you got 6 years, into trucking so far. How do you manage? Well, let me ask you, do you get lonely? It's kind of a dumb question, so more than likely that may happen because you're out without your family and stuff. So if you get lonely, how do you manage that?
I do miss my wife, my kids, I miss being home. So a lot of FaceTime, and it's just, it's tough. I couldn't even imagine being a trucker back when you didn't have FaceTime, that you had to run to a payphone and do all these crazy things to, get in touch with your family. I'm blessed that I'm a trucker in the 21st century, that I could FaceTime my family. But yeah, I do. It gets to me sometimes, but then I tell myself, hey, I'm doing this for them, provide for a better life, and give them, a better future. So yeah, that's how I manage it.
That's great what you mentioned about being a 21st century trucker. I didn't think about it that way. A lot of times we talk about, old school truckers and how it used to be out here, for the guys driving. But now there's all sorts of technologies and things like that to make things a little simpler.
Technology has made it, that you can do anything on the fly. Order permits, I don't even know how they used to do it back then, because again, I wasn't, I didn't grow up with a trucking family. How most of these guys, they've grown into trucking. I didn't even know how they order permits. Right now you can just go online, go to the state's website, and within minutes have your permit. And the same thing with, the routing and all this stuff, and Google Earth, that you could, check where you're gonna go in through the place or where you're gonna deliver. So I couldn't even imagine. Technology made it real easy for us. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still, use my atlas to check if it's, the bridge height, especially doing oversized, but technology is real great for us nowadays.
So yeah, you're right about that. Thank goodness for technology. We can only imagine, where else it's gonna go. So throw another question at you. And this could be, not trucking related, but what's your claim to fame?
I really don't claim to fame. I really, I'm really proud of that. I, help people. If a person asks me for help, I'm willing to help, no matter if it's whether in trucking or in life.
Yeah, I hear you. So, what are you known for?
My guys know me, my friends, that, like I said, that I'm a very helpful, very knowledgeable person when it comes to things. Just mainly it, you know. That's what I'm mainly known for. That they could, you know, they could count on me, whether they a few states away or a few hours away. You know that I'm always gonna be there to give them a lending hand and help them in whatever I can. So that's what I'm really known for. You know, that I'm willing to help, and I go to bat with my friends or my guys for whatever they need.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So far in your trucking career, what's been like the best time? Like, you know, something that just like you've just thoroughly enjoyed. You know, it could be a load that you had that was a great paying load, or you know, meeting up with other guys. So, what's been the best time in trucking so far?
Best time in trucking is getting to visit other places and getting paid for it, and meeting people that in places that you never thought that. I was like, wow, you know, like I call a friend in Texas, you know, he'll answer the phone, and something happens, you know, I could call him. People in Virginia, in places, people that I've met that I could, you know, that I could count on them and they could count on me. That's pretty cool, you know, that you make relationships with people in other places that, you know, even if it's for just that you know, want to call and be like, hey, how you doing? How's everything? And you're going through there, you know, that's pretty cool. Getting to meet people and getting to go places and getting paid for it is it's like one of my highlights here. Loads, they will always be good paying loads and crazy loads like, you know, airplanes or 17-foot tall coils. Loads will always be there, but like great friendships and memories from places that you've gone and spent time at will, you know, never go away.
That's great. You're right about that. You know, making those memories and, you know, seeing those things like that. That's really cool. What are some lessons that you've learned, you know, being out here so far?
Have that money for the rainy day. If not, things will bite you. Having, you know, lessons that I've learned is having that money put away. You know, my engine blew last year March, and you know, having that money there, people go out of business just for, you know, a blown motor because they don't have the money saved up. Another thing is check your routes. You know, in Texas, I almost got screwed one time when I had a load that was like 16 feet tall, and they wanted to send me through a overpass that was under an overpass that was like 15 and a half. Yeah, and I didn't check it pretty well, and the last minute I had to back up like almost 2 miles. Luckily the sheriff was there to hold traffic for me, but those are the lessons that I could, you know, that I say that I learned and I need to, you know.
You know, both of those are great tips. Going back to the first one there, having money saved for a rainy day. So, in your opinion, you know, what do you think a guy, you know, that's starting out, you know, 1, 2, 3 years in, what do you think they should have set aside, you know, as a cushion?
Depends on your, you know, on your truck, you know, because a guy with a Freightliner Columbia, the rebuild is not as much with a Detroit as a guy with a Cat or a Cummins. So I'll say anywhere between $20,000 to $30,000, you know, set aside just for the rebuild. Normally it's good to have around $50K in your account. Just, you know, don't go crazy if you see it there, because for some reason the truck knows when you have money saved up. You know, like you heard of that when they say, oh, I made $10,000. No, the truck will be like, no, we made $10,000.
That's awesome. Yeah, the truck knows when you have money. That's perfect. Yeah, and before you know it, you're having to do some work on it, or you know, you might swing into that chrome shop and buy something, and before you know it, some of those fancy shiny things have added up. You know,
it adds up. Believe me, it adds up.
Speaking of things adding up, what are some of the things that you want to do to the truck?
I want to add a lift axle. Like I said, I'm going on a bigger trailer, so I need another axle, so I could get 70,000 on the truck. That's what I want to do. I want to stretch it a little bit, add that lift axle there, some fenders, and making it look a little bit nicer. Getting some steps done, some stainless steel smooth steps, and put an APU, because we idle a lot. Like this truck hasn't shut down since Monday night. It's been on since Monday night, so we idle a lot. So that's about it. Keep it, simple, clean. It's a working truck.
How many miles do you have on the truck so far?
That's about 729,000. But when I bought this truck at Rush Peterbilt, the thing that drew me to this truck was that the motor was swapped out, and they gave me a certificate that the motor had about 219,000 miles. So I drove it for another 60, and I blew the motor. I knew it was gonna happen. I knew the engine was gonna go out, because you never know when you buy used trucks what kind of preventive care it had been done to it, or how I was taken care of before you got it. So it was a matter of when. So as soon as I bought it, I didn't go crazy spending money on it. I started putting money aside, and next thing you know, I thought it was going to happen closer to home, like in Georgia. It happened in Kentucky with a grader, almost 80,000 pound load. So I hated it. I had to hit unload. Luckily, it gave me time to unload and then hit home, but it happened real far.
So, what do you think you're making horsepower wise?
This truck was programmed on the dyno. It said it has 625, 2033 torque. So I didn't care much about the horsepower, because torque is what we need doing this type of job. And the guy told me it was 625, 2033 torque. So I'm right around there. So it does the job.
I tell you what, it certainly does. I'm trying to coast along with you here. We're in these rolling hills just south of 52 and near Dade City, and I tell you what, it's just moving right along like no problem. Not that this is anything. How does it do in other places where you really got some grades going on?
Let me tell you, in California, I was surprised that I was going up Indio really, really good, and going through Mount Eagle, it does pretty good. But I don't try to go up the hill fast. I try to let it do its thing. When you go up hills and trying to go fast, that's when you break stuff, and we don't want to break stuff.
Yes, sir. You got that right.
Watch the gauges. Make sure your pyrometer don't get too hot. Tune truck. Make sure you don't let it get hot. As soon as you see a big hill coming, you turn on the fan clutch, kick it on, make sure it cools, and it runs cool most of the time. 160, 170 around there with this weight, but I don't like to let it get hot.
So let's talk about advice. So if you came across a guy that wants to be in the same position that you're in now, what advice would you give him?
My advice would be take your time and save money. There's a lot of sacrifices, a lot of hard work. Again, there's no blueprint, there's no manual, no Bible. It's just highway hustling and doing your thing every day, and don't haul for cheap. Please do not haul for cheap, and just take your time, because it will be there. A lot of things could go wrong real fast if you don't take your time, and if you rush into this, a lot of stuff could go wrong. You could end up losing, your truck, your trailer, your business, losing a lot of money, and go back to zero, to nothing, because you wanted to rush and you you wanted it to do it for, just to look cool or just to say that you're doing something. Take your time. Everything will fall into place. Like I mentioned before, sacrifice hard work, put God first, and trust your hustle. Don't haul for cheap, and you'll be all right. You'll be all right.
That's great advice. And speaking of hauling and not hauling for cheap, what are some of the rates that you get? And as an example of if you can share something like that, just to give people an idea of how heavy haul is different from van or flatbed and things like that.
Like for flatbed and stuff like that, step deck, people talk about, $2.50 a mile, $3 a mile. So I try to get away from that per mile crap here, because if you run a load, let me give you an example. Let's say you run a D6 doser, 1,000 miles at $5 a mile. You're losing money because you're gonna need a chase car because you're gonna be 12.6 wide. So try to stay away from that, per mile. Get that out of your mentality. Once you come here, try to charge anywhere between $1,500 to $2,100 per day plus permits. So let's say a load is gonna take, go from Palm Bay to Houma, Louisiana, charge for that load, $1,800 per day plus permits. So in the books, that load is gonna take almost 2.5, 3 days to do. So you do the math, that's how much you gotta charge for the load. But don't go for that $3 per mile or $5. I hear guys saying, $5 per mile is the going rate, or $6 per mile. I mean, that's you're gonna lose money. You're gonna leave a lot of money on the table, and you're gonna ultimately haul something for cheaper than what it should have been hauled for. Like the same thing with daily rates. My daily rate, whether it's 10 miles from, let's say, give you an example, from the Port of Miami to the yard where I park, it's about 13 miles. Daily rate is $1,500 right now. That's for that day. I don't care what it is. If it's something small, it's a roller, or it's $1,500 per day.
Guys that are out there, they're probably used to hearing the per mile thing, but making it a daily rate, it's kind of evens it all out, simplifies it. Yeah, it lets you not really worry about that. You concentrate on doing a better job, I would think, of actually moving the freight and getting it where it needs to go.
You have, guys that they be like, okay, I'm gonna charge, for that load $5 a mile. I'm like, man, that load, you just did that load from, let's say this load. If I would charge $5 a mile from Kennersville to Lutz, Florida, I wouldn't be making no money. I wouldn't. It's you know how much fuel this thing takes to move, and something this heavy, and permits and wear and tear on your truck. You gotta charge it per day. I mean, that's how I do it. That's how I run my business. I wish everybody would put their foot down when it comes to brokers and customers, and don't give in, because they will much rather pay a lot and know that their equipment and their load is taken care of than to haul for a guy, give it to a guy that's hauling for cheap, that his equipment is falling apart and it just doesn't know what he's doing.
Definitely, man. And I appreciate everything that you said. It's been something I hope some folks really get to glean a little bit, from the things that you're sharing.
Like this trailer, my mentality is, if it's not big or heavy, or it's specialized, it's not going on this trailer. Some guys got this mentality that just because I live in South Florida, I'm gonna haul something for cheap. I even seen step deck and flatbed loads. I even seen a container once on an RGN. Like, come on, bro. Just look for the biggest, heaviest load and go after it. Stop hauling cheap and don't haul flatbed loads, and don't give in. Don't give in.
Preach it, brother. Preach it. So far in your career, in your trucking career, have you been able to do anything charitable, with your truck or with your company? For instance, if there's disasters, some guys are able to haul things and help out in certain ways. Have you been able to do anything like that so far?
Charitable, no, because it wasn't for free. I got paid for it, but for disaster, yes. When those hurricanes or tornadoes went through in Louisiana, I took some generators and water pumps out there. I took a couple of excavators and a couple of wheel loaders out there. So yeah, I've done a couple of stuff. I want to do a lot more stuff with more charitable work with my company, and whether it's for veterans or police officers and stuff like that.
10-4, that'll be great. That'll be great to do. Are we coming up to our exit here?
10-4, this is our exit coming up.
Trailer, so it takes a lot of work. You got to disconnect, reconnect, and then pull up under it in order to disconnect the gooseneck.
All right, so just tell us about some of the steps that you got to do next here.
I took the double donut top. That's them right there. Disconnected my airlines, electrical, and now I'm back up under it. So you got to take that pin out. You gotta back it in just enough so it could take some weight off, because once that neck goes down, it bites that pin and it makes it real hard to come out. I'll make sure that everything is disconnected, because there's times that guys have driven away with their gooseneck and snap the airlines and electrical from there.
What's the hookup process now?
The opposite of the breakdown. It's just you take the wood out, disconnect again, connect all your air lines, put the double donuts in, and go back up under it again. Different holes are from different height. This is 52 and 54 inches. So I'm gonna say it on here, Fontaine are the best trailers.
Yeah.
If it ain't Fontaine, I mean, so it's a hell of a trailer.
Nice.
This is a stretch RGN. So I could open up the well. It's 29 now. Once stretch, I could go all the way to 50 feet.
Right.
If you had a hydraulic that was stretch, you're looking about 5,000 pounds difference. If I had 6 axles with a hydraulic in South Carolina or North Carolina, I wouldn't get this permit because I would have been above the max of 120.
Got it.
I'll be like around 122, 123 around there. Other trailers, they only have 2 hoses. This one has a third. That's for that pin back there to release, so you can open up the well.
So this third axle here, is this a flip axle?
It's a flip axle, yeah. Normally, since I think I'm getting something heavy on Thursday, I'm gonna leave it down.
Okay.
Because some places they want to charge you to flip it back down.
Are you serious?
Yeah, 125. King Transport, they charge you $125
To flip your axle.
Your axle. The same excavator you're loading is probably the same machine that's gonna flip your axle. So I don't know why they would, do that.
That's like them lumper fees, man.
Yeah, man, they try to get you everywhere. So a little bit more wear and tear on the tire, and a couple of extra bucks on tolls going home, but
Yeah. All right.
it's all right. Please use 1/2 inch or 5/8 chains. Do not use these. These are 3/8. I keep these to like whenever you're gonna lower an excavator to tie out the boom, but other than that, 1/2 inch, 5/8 hooks. You'll be surprised. A lot of people be out there with these type of equipment running flatbed or step deck chains. Secure your load the proper way. Spend the money to buy it, and like that, DOT won't mess with you. And from a safety standpoint, you're really securing your load. Like I had 84,000 pounds of securement on a 77,000 pound machine. So if you throw 6 of these, you're gonna probably have like 43, 45,000, which it ain't doing nothing,
All right, George, man, thanks again for letting me tag along and, get your story. It's been a great time chatting with you. And again, thanks to the folks here at Dobbs Equipment for letting me, kind of film what you do here. And, you have a good rest of the day, and we'll see you out there again.
Chris, I appreciate you, man, what you be doing. And again, it was an honor. And thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Appreciate it a lot. Thanks.
You have yourself a great day. Again, it was awesome, getting to run the road with you. You be safe out there.
Chris, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Appreciate you, man.